4 games does seem like a lot. We'll see if it's less than that. We'll see if it stays there. But either way, it is a quarter of the season, so it is a little bit significant chunk. And the sportsbooks are shifting their odds. But the season win totals haven't gone that far, only from 10.5 to 10 right now. Are you rushing to hedge any Patriots future odds right now, or are you thinking that it could potentially be, maybe some more value on this team, considering, when he comes back, they're still going to be a pretty good football team and, very capable of making a run here?
Well, I think if anybody's watched our videos before, the NFL draft, our NFL futures with the schedule, I don't want to speak for you, but if memory serves me right, I don't think you were so hot on the Patriot futures to begin with. I wasn't myself. It really, my opinion, doesn't change that much. I think if it gets to 10, I'd be more inclined to lean with the over than anything, but not necessarily a strong play. I think there's better plays on the board. How I break it down, they're probably 2-2, maybe 1-3 after 4 weeks. Then they get the Colts, which is that's a bit of a wild card game, even though Brady will be back for that game. But even if they go 1-4, you've got 3 winnable games right after that, brings them back to 500, and then the rest of the schedule is pretty easy. The next 3 games are, I can't recall right now, but I know Dolphins, Redskins, and somebody else, very easy at home, all 3 home games. Beyond that, I looked at their schedule. I see about a 4-2, a 5-1 run. So, I mean, what are we up to right there? We're up to about 8 or 9 wins, and that's assuming they go 1-4 to start, and not necessarily. I mean, if you believe they go 2-2 in the first 4 games, or even 3-2 after the first 5 weeks, given the schedule after that, I think 10 wins is definitely manageable for them. What are your thoughts on their regular season win total?
Yeah, I'm thinking that if anything, there's going to be more value created here. We're going to talk a little bit more about young Jimmy Garoppolo here in just a little bit, but I think that the Patriots, with the schedule the way it's looking like in their first 4 weeks, they don't really. It's not that bad to begin with. They play the Jaguars in there and everything, but yeah, 10 wins. I think if depending on the price, I might be still leaning towards the over just in that case. But, that brings me to another topic that I'm interested in to ask you about, because, is this potentially just where you're looking at, you're going to want to continue to bet the value with the Patriots, because I think their Super Bowl odds have dropped a little bit, gone to in certain cases, from 9-1 to 10-1 or something like that. But are you looking at any other AFC teams in the conference now, like the Colts, potentially anybody else, the field of some kind, to take over as a potential value now that the Patriots could be starting off the season in a hole?
Yeah, absolutely. Nothing really with Patriots futures, but I think this affects Colts futures directly. We saw the Colts go to New England and struggle in that game, whether it had to do with the actual performance on the field or deflated footballs. Probably more the former than the latter, obviously. But they may not have to go to New England next season. And we've talked about the Colts, and they have one of the easiest schedules in the NFL. So you look at who they're going to be racing for the number 1 seed in the AFC with. Probably not the Broncos, because that's a team that tailed off last year. Real question marks about the AFC North teams, as they're going to be duking it out. The only other team was the Patriots, but now with Brady gone for about 4 games, it looks like it's the Colts, the number 1 seed looks like it's the Colts to lose. So I think if you're looking at futures, I like the Colts to potentially win the AFC. This just, it strengthens my prediction on them. I liked them before, I like it even more now.
Yeah, the Colts, I've been high on them pretty much all offseason, so I think you're absolutely right there. Now, talk to me about the AFC East, because I think this is where our theories here about it not affecting the Patriots as much really come into play, because Patriots at Bovada are still minus 150 to win this division. Really haven't moved that much pending this suspension. But we do have a couple teams that may be a little bit more interesting now, because the Miami Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills are plus 425 to win this division at Bovada right now. One, do you think that this is just confirming what we think, that this 4-game suspension isn't going to affect the Patriots along season-long future odds that much? And do you think that the Miami Dolphins could potentially hold some value here at just over 4-1?
Well, I look at this 2 ways. I mean, the first way is to focus on the Patriots, and really, this is where Jimmy Garoppolo becomes a wild card. I don't really think it hurts them that much. We've seen this team win with Matt Castle before. Remember, Castle stepped in out of nowhere. It's not like he had a ton of experience. He played relatively well. We know the Patriots typically prepare their backups to, at the very least, give them a chance to win. So if you believe the Patriots go even 1-3 or more likely 2-2, they were 2-2 after 4 games last year, then they're probably fine in the division. That's the Patriots side of it. The other side of it is who really steps up to take this from them. Probably not the Jets. I mean, I can't really back a Geno Smith team, plus so much turnover for that roster. And really the theme of turnover goes throughout the whole division. Yes, the Dolphins look like the team best suited, but a lot of changes on that offense. I'm not really sure about the offensive line yet. The defense as well. What goes on in that secondary? I know they got Sue, but do you trust a team with Tannehill and Philbin, who time and time again have shown that they can play great in September, but whenever they play with something on the line, they take a step back or they can't get the job done. I.e., the one that sticks out to me is that game against Green Bay last year, where it really showed that the Dolphins are not ready to sit at the big boy table. And then the Bills as well. A lot of turnover for the Bills. Are they better than last year? What's Rex Ryan going to do with this team? So, I mean, you've still got the Patriots, who will probably be fine for 4 weeks, and then Brady's going to come back with a vengeance against 3 other teams that are still a little bit makeshift. So I don't know that anybody can really take this from them. Do you see any of those 3 teams as being ready to step up? Are the Bills or the Dolphins at plus 450? Is there value there? I personally don't see that, but maybe you see things a little bit different.
I mean, let's just go with this. What's your nickname for Ryan Tannehill?
Tanatrash.
Tanatrash. I mean, like that. He has improved, I think, from where he started, but it has been a very slow progression. The Dolphins, I'm interested on them. Am I interested in them enough to take a chance now at plus 425, plus 450, wherever you're getting them? Probably not. I'm more probably interested on them as an ATS value. I think we talked about them as a potential team that the over could be a value on, I think, throughout the season. So not quite ready. And yeah, the Bills and the Jets, yeah, just not there with them. I like Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, he looked really good in the preseason. I know it's the preseason. I know it gets third stringers and everything, but he got into a couple regular season games and looked pretty competent as well. He's got a live arm. I have some friends who got to see him a lot. He's an Illinois guy. Went to EIU, just a couple hours from where I grew up. So he's I think he's going to be competent enough. I think the Patriots are going to come in this 2-2. They're probably going to lose opening night down to Pittsburgh, because I think Pittsburgh's a very good football team. Defense is a little bit of question mark for them. I think they'll lose at Dallas in that game right after the bye, but they got Buffalo and Jacksonville in between there. They'll definitely win those games, I think, even with Garoppolo starting. So if you're looking at the Patriots starting 2-2, that doesn't seem like much of a change from where a lot of people even just predicted them with Tom Brady. So I'm not ready inclined to hit the panic button at all here on the New England Patriots whatsoever. But let's just talk about Jimmy Garoppolo here to end this call real quick. The Patriots have dropped from about a -6 favorite to -4 or -2 favorite, with now, depending on which sportsbook you're looking at here, opening night against Pittsburgh. Probably going to be slight favorites or underdogs in a couple of certain situations here without Brady in the first couple of weeks. Do you think there's going to be value with the Garoppolo-led New England Patriots against the spread, or maybe even with the total here, which I'll give you some interesting stats on that in just a second?
I personally don't see it yet. It doesn't mean that there isn't there, but this will be like a real Peter Loshak type answer. I need to see at least 1 week of action from him until I can really make some decisions on Garoppolo. If push comes to shove right now, he'll probably be fine. I think you'll probably see defensive type efforts from the Patriots, trying to run the ball, protect him. But right now, I think I think it's tough to say. They don't really have great wide receivers. The running game took some hits in the offseason, so it's not like they're surrounding him with a lot of great parts, so to speak. The defense should be okay, but no, I don't really have a good read on Garoppolo and this team right now. My read right now is to stay away. I know it's kind of dodging the question, but I just don't have a good read on it, so I don't want to provide bad advice. What do you think of this guy?
No, it's fine, because I set you up perfectly for it, because you're a little worried about the Patriots offense, I feel. So with that in mind, Covers reported yesterday that when the news broke, the Westgate book in Vegas dropped their Week 1 total between the Steelers and the Patriots from 53.5 to 49. So with your question marks on the offense now, with Brady gone for at least the first 4 weeks here, Do you see the under potentially having some value for the Patriots here to start off the season?
I think that's definitely a better bet. I think unders look good, at least for the first matchup against the Steelers. You know, they're going to be working on their defense all off-season long. This will be a chance for them to at least fake prove that their defense is improved before they start playing some real offenses. But yeah, under. I mean, the Patriots' offense struggled in the first 4 weeks last year anyways, so I would definitely be cautious betting the over with New England here. But before we get going, I wanted to throw one little wild card at you. What do you think about this? Regular season win total. We talked about the Patriots, but what about the overs for the teams that are playing the Patriots in the first 4 weeks, i.e., if you like the Bills over for regular season wins, Cowboys, Bills, Steelers, and maybe even Jaguars, doesn't this push you over the hump, even more so? And I will say that, hopefully the sports books aren't watching this video, but many of the sports books who, and there's not a lot of sports books who have put up regular season win totals yet, but the sports books haven't really adjusted the lines for the Cowboys, Steelers, and Bills, at least from what I've seen in terms of overs, right? Because before you're looking at the schedule thinking, well, if you're going through the Bills' schedule, you're saying, well, maybe they split with the Patriots, maybe they lose twice. Well, now all of a sudden they're probably going to be favored in that game. Same with the Steelers. You're thinking opening night, tough win, tough place to win against the champs. Well, now all of a sudden maybe that's a win, even for Dallas as well. What do you think about the Cowboys, Steelers, Bills overs for regular season wins?
I think it's an interesting point, Dave. I'm really thinking that this helps the Steelers more than anybody. I think that among the first 4 teams that they're playing, I think their schedule is obviously the toughest. So I'm more inclined to think that it helps them the most. The Jaguars, I think we've talked about. We've been pretty high on them as a season win totals team. I can't remember. I think they're only at 5.5 or 6 or something like that. I think it definitely helps them, even though this is a road game for them. Probably not ready to look at it as a win for Buffalo season win totals, or even the Cowboys just yet, because the Cowboys, I think maybe their win total was just a little bit inflated, if I do remember. Even though I'm pretty high on their future odds, I think their season win total, I'm not quite ready to give them a nod here for their season win totals having a little bit more value, just because I also think there's a potential that if this suspension gets lessened maybe to just 3 games or something like that, then obviously Tom Brady would be back for that Cowboys game. So I think the Steelers, more than anybody, are a winner from this situation. Who do you think wins the most for these first 4 teams?
Me personally, I wouldn't say any one team in particular. I didn't like the regular season futures for the win totals for any of these teams, really. I did like Jacksonville a bit. I don't think they win the game anyways, so really no difference for me. But I think if you liked one of those teams' overs anyways, then I think this is another vote of confidence for that.
Yeah, I completely agree, man. Well, there you have it, folks. That is the Tom Brady Deflategate fallout here. We'll see any pending appeals come down within the next few weeks. I'm sure we'll be following that in all of our NFL coverage here this offseason. But for Dave, I'm Jordan Sharp, and thanks always for joining us.